Hi everybody, my name is Anthony and I'm a studio librarian at the Sachem Public Library. Today we're going to be building a fall lantern. If you signed up for the studio program to build a fall lantern kit, you've already worked it out with us to receive your kit. Once you have it, you can follow along with this video and we'll give you a step-by-step process of how to build it. So here are all the parts that you're going to receive in your kit. You're going to get 4 lantern sides. You're going to have 2 sets of each. You're going to have a lantern top and a lantern bottom. We're going to include a little piece of sandpaper. And we're going to have some vellum sheets in here, which we're going to cut up in a little bit. And last but not least, you're going to get a candle in there too. Okay, so for now we're going to concentrate on the lantern bottom and we're going to keep out our 2 sets of the sides. So what we're going to do is fit this into the base. Okay, and it just should be a little bit of a pressure fit in there. Sometimes it's a little loose, that's fine. Alright, so now what we want to do is try to make sure all of the sides fit inside. On purpose, it is designed to have one slot here that is shorter than the other. So these fit in and they're kind of flush with these little plastic things right here. And then the other sides will slide in, but in order to keep this nice and tight, this wood is still going to be a little too wide, so that's why we include the piece of sandpaper. So we're just going to put things aside for a second and we're just going to sand off a little bit of the bottom. You don't want to go up towards the top, you just want to kind of do a little sanding on the bottom, that's all. It's not going to take too much. Try to take off an even amount from both sides. And take your time. There is no rush. Alright, so I'm just going to knock off some of the dust. I'm going to come on back and we're going to try and fit it again. I'm going to be really gentle while we're trying to fit it because we don't want to break any of the letters or any of the parts of the design while we're doing this. So almost there. I just have to take off a little bit of material. Alright, this may take a few tries going back and forth, but we want to get the best fit we can get. Alright, so that pretty much slid in there now. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. You can always go back and make finer adjustments once we get the other side in there. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side. Before I remove too much, let's try and fit it again. Okay, so it seems like it's going to fit in this slot, but now the issue we're having is the other sides are a little too long. But just a tiny bit. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to knock off the edges. almost. We're getting there, little by little. This time, just make sure it fits in there. I'm going to knock a little bit off the front. There we go. Now we can go in there and fit that even more, but you guys get the hang of it. Okay, before we get into attaching the vellum paper to give it a frosted look that the light can bleed through, we're going to go ahead and decorate our side panels if that's something we want to do. So some people may want to keep it natural wood looking, some people may want to stain it, and some people may want to paint it. So that is completely up to you. Now is the time, after it's sanded and fit to the bottom base, that you can go ahead and do any decorating you want to do. The only thing I'm going to say is if you go and you stain it or you paint it or anything like that, make sure that the inside of the design, especially around this frame right here, doesn't have any paint or stain on it. The same with the back of the design. It's what we're going to glue our vellum paper to, so there really can't be anything there that would get in the way of the glue adhering. Okay, so here's the piece of vellum paper located in your kit. So for each one of these, we're going to fold it in half, crease it, and then I'm going to use that crease to cut against. Oh, probably I need a new pair of scissors. Okay, now that we have one of the pieces cut, we're going to bring back one of our panels. And we're going to fit it over. Okay, and we're going to make sure we have that little tiny kind of 1/8 inch overlap on the sides, and we're going to have a bigger overlap on the top and bottom. So we got to make sure when we cut this that's exactly half, because if one side is short, you won't have anything to glue onto over here. Okay, so now that we have our vellum fitted, we know it's got enough room on the sides. We're going to come in with our adhesive. In this case, I'm just going to use a simple glue stick. It's more than enough to get the stick down. So all I'm going to do is go around on the back of the design, anything that kind of sticks through. I'm going to put a good amount of glue on. I'm going to go around, I'm going to do the edges too. If you globbed up any of the glue like I did, you can go in and just knock it off with your finger or anything like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my piece of vellum and I'm going to fit it over the side. I'm just going to very carefully run my finger over the overlap. You don't want to punch through. As you're going, if you can, try to keep the vellum as tight as possible. Just give it a better look. Now, just as an extra precaution, because you're really not going to see the inside of the lantern, I'm going to just use some regular Scotch tape. I'm going to put it down, and it's going to help keep everything where I want it. Until it dries. If you want to, you can go all the way around completely with tape, but you really shouldn't have to. Okay. Now if anything bubbles up, just want to go back, press it down a little farther, and just keep an eye on it until everything's all set up. And then when you're done, you turn it over. That's what it should look like. As you can see, kind of moved a little bit. Just make sure you get enough glue on these edges so when you do this it sticks down. And you don't want to handle it too much. So you're going to do that for each side. This side is a little more forgiving because these shapes are bigger and they're a lot harder to break. But I'm going to warn you, for this design, some of these smaller parts can be a little fragile. With the little pumpkin stem, and especially the little cutouts and pieces in between the letters. They're held on by tiny little wooden standoffs there, which are really easy to break. But if they do happen to break off, it's fine. You can glue on your vellum, tape it there, and then you can go back, put a little glue on the back of this wood piece, and then kind of stick it back in there to the vellum, and it will hold its place, and the letters will look like they should. Okay, now that we have all of these sides with vellum paper on the back, we're going to move on to fitting these back into the base like we did before. So take your time, get them all fitted in there, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that we have this all mocked up, we have the vellum on, we have it back in the bottom, we can finish kind of assembling the top. Now, one of the sides of the top is actually longer than the other, so if it doesn't fit on one way too nicely, just give it a turn and see if it fits on that way. Now, getting this fit on here can be a little bit finicky, but it is designed that way on purpose, because once you get them all in here, the fit at the top is going to be pretty tight. So I'm just going to take my time and I'm going to try to work all of the sides into the top. See, I got 3 sides but not the 4th, so I'm going to bring it back up a little bit on that side. And just carefully, and now I'm over all of them, and I'm just going to press it down as far as it'll go. Don't worry if your boards weren't even at the top, this will kind of cover that and take up the difference. Okay. So now that we have that on there, there's a couple of ways to go about it. If these little seams, if they don't bother you, you can leave them just as it is. If you want to, you can glue it. So either with I would recommend doing it with the top on, but you can take some masking tape or blue tape or anything like that, and you can tape the corners nice and even. And then you can go in from the back and add a little glue. You can use wood glue, you can use super glue. Just go sparing with whatever you do, that way it doesn't drip. It's not going to take much, and you're just going to leave it with the tape on there while the glue sets up, and that'll be fine. Okay, now we have the lantern squared away. We're going to take our LED candle that's included with the kit. We're going to pop the little back plate off, and we're going to add a couple of AA batteries. These batteries are not included with your kit, so you will have to supply them. Okay. Okay, and to operate the light, there is a little switch on the bottom to just turn it off and on. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to bring our mocked up lantern here. Okay, and the hole in the top is big enough for you to reach inside and kind of set it. And there's a little tiny hole in the bottom that's designed to fit this candle perfectly. So if you press down a little bit, you get a little bit of a pressure fit, but it's really easy to pop back out because you do have to take it in and out to turn the little battery switch on and off. Alright, now we have our lantern completely mocked up, candles inside, everything's all together. And now we have it on, and we turned off a couple of lights just to see how it looks and to give you guys an idea of the finished product. We hope you guys enjoyed this craft. Thank you for following along, and I hope you guys have a good one.